request, my lord, is a special session, my lord. This is at page 45. Therefore, I'm just showing, my lord, that this was exercise of powers under Article 174, read with 175(2). Therefore, in keeping with the constitutional and democratic values and principles, as also the law laid down by the Honorable Supreme Court of India, and in pursuance of the powers conferred under Article 174, read with Article 175(2) of the Constitution, I hereby issue the following directions. A special sessions of Maharashtra Assembly be summoned on 30th June at 11 a.m. and, my lord, other consequential directions. Lord, suffice to say, your lordships have seen, the Honorable Governor relies upon Bomai, Rameshwar Prasad, Shivraj Singh Chauhan, etc., my lord, that flow test is the only test. And the only satisfaction which the governor is supposed to reach at this stage is the satisfaction that flow test is required. He is not supposed to Lord, record a satisfaction that, yes, you have lost majority. He doesn't do that.
But he does that. He does that. Governor says, I'm therefore confident that you and your government has lost the trust of the House.
Lord, for the purpose of, yes, Lord, for the purpose of, he is justifying his direction that now you go and prove it otherwise. That no, you have the trust of the House. Lord, otherwise he would have invited somebody else immediately, my lord, if he would have arrived at that satisfaction, which he could never have arrived at constitutionally. It has to be the satisfaction to call for the flow test. That you go and face the test. This is prima facie material. Material is unimpeachable. Everything is in public domain. The elected people are coming and representing to me in writing. Go and face the flow test. Yes. Yes. Lord, now if that satisfaction is not recorded, that there is a
so really speaking, Mr. Solicitor, the material before the governor was only three things. One, the resolution by 34 MLAs that any change in the leadership of the House is not warranted, that therefore they continue to have reaffirmed that the leadership will be with Eknath Shinde, not with Chaudhary or Gogaole. One. Two, the letters by 47 MLAs about the threat to their security.
For converting minority into majority.
And the third, the letter of the leader of the opposition.
Yes.
That 39 MLAs of the Shiv Sena want to exit the alliance with the BJP, with the INC and the NCP.
Yes, my lord. And saying,
essentially all this correspondence boils down to three aspects, three things basically.
Independent MLAs letter.
Independent MLAs
and resolutions passed,
and the 34 MLAs.
Resolutions passed by them respectively. Letter is accompanied by resolutions to show that this is not happening for any other reason. This is happening because the chief minister has lost majority and he wants to convert his minority. That's the only thing, my lord, in my respectful submission, the governor is supposed to see. That in fact, he appears to have been reduced into minority, but he can go to the floor of the House. That's the ultimate.
Ultimately, it boils down to this. Suppose there is a policy difference between a group of MLAs within a party.
Yes.
It was on the alliance with the NCP and the INC. Suppose there's a policy difference on whatever aspect, spending funds for a backward region in the state. We don't want this to be done.
Several, yes, sir.
The difference of the MLAs can be on a variety of things. There's a policy difference of a group of MLAs within a party, because governor also says, they also don't say that, look, we are leaving the party, because the moment they say, because governor also says, they also don't say that, look, we are leaving the party, because the moment they say that, they incur the 10th schedule. Can the governor merely on that basis say, now I'm of the view that you must prove your trust vote in the, you must go to a floor test.
I'll answer that, my lord. But that, my lord, I would better answer after showing the law on the point, because, my lord, the answer is this, immediate answer is this. The reasons for the dissatisfaction or reasons based upon which the sitting chief minister has lost majority is not the consideration for the governor. that can be a ground for disqualifying them, taking any other action within the party fold, etc. The governor is supposed to only understand, no, my lord, and that's what the law, your lordships have laid down, whether he has lost majority support or not. Whether
two different things. You see, one is whether the governor has material to indicate that, well, that the existing government has lost majority on the floor of the house. Equally, the governor must be conscious of the fact that his very calling for a trust vote may lead to a precipitate loss of majority for the government, because that the calling for a trust vote may itself be a circumstance which will lead to the toppling of the government.
My lord, I don't think, my lord, with profound respect, my lord, as I understand, the governor, my lord, cannot take that call.
Governors should not really lend their office for effectuating a particular result.
Lord, kindly see, my lord, kindly examine it.
Here you have a leader of the opposition writes. Leader of the
Lord, the
opposition
difficulty
letter,
is, my lord, my other
leader of the opposition's letter is irrelevant, according to me. The leader of the opposition will always write to the governor, say, look, these people are acting contrary to the constitution, that their policies are anti-people. That is no ground for the governor to act. The independent MLAs who said, or the MLAs who said, my security is under threat, this was not a report under Article 356. He was not saying that the government of the state cannot be carried on in accordance with the dictates of the
That's going to be my submission, my lord.
So the threat to security cannot be a ground for calling for a trust vote. So both those are out of reckoning. The only thing which survives is the impact of the 34. Because
may I answer that? May I answer
34 is something which is because 34 in a party which has 55 MLAs. So
Lord, may I answer that? Lord, first of all, the parameters for Article 356 are different, and 174 is different.
What the governor's letter may indicate is that he was of the view that there was a certain dissension within the party on whether to continue with the alliance with the Indian National Congress and the NCP, right? Can that be a ground for the governor to say you call for a trust vote?
Kindly, my lord, and allow me to answer. The governor.
Then you are virtually breaking a party.
Kindly, my lord, the difficulty is, my lord, I'm answering this question before my legal submissions are over, because most of your lordship's questions can only be answered from my legal submissions, which are yet to follow. But my immediate answer is this.
You see, looking at it in hindsight, in hindsight, they had lost the mathematical equation. They had lost. It was very obvious that when 34, and that's why, as Mr. Jetlani said yesterday, they were not willing to disqualify all the 39, because they also realized the moment you disqualify 39, then it redounds to their disadvantage. So they were trying to disqualify the 16, so that you give a threat to the other 23 that look, you will also suffer the same fate. All right. They also knew that they were likely to lose the plot, but we are now on the governor's powers. We're not so much on the mathematics. And okay, now at the end of it, it's very obvious that they had lost the numbers game. But equally, what is a very serious concern is that governor should not enter into this any area by which their action will in fact precipitate the fall of a government.
That is where I would very earnestly and respectfully, my lord, differ constitutionally, and I'll answer that.
Stand away and say that, look.
Lord, can I, before your lordship, my lord, concludes on this point, would your lordship, my lord, allow me to narrate, my lord, place the law on the point? Because law, as I have understood, my lord, subject to your lordship's final approval, may not, my lord, support this conclusion. My lord, if there is a dissatisfaction, the governor's responsibility is to ensure that the stable government is there and government functions in a stable way. If somebody goes and says that there is a party dissatisfaction inter se, may not be a ground for the governor, my lord, possibly to call for a trust vote.
Suppose there is a political party.
My lord, if your lordship,
MLAs of a political party feel that our leader is not true to our ideology, that our leader is not carrying out the basic ideological premise of our party. Take it. Forget Uddhav Thackeray, forget Shiv Sena for a moment. They have their remedies. They can always say that we'll vote our leader out. We believe that our leader does not pursue the ethos of our party. They can always vote the leader out in a party forum. But can the governor say that because there is a dissension about a certain aspect of the leadership, therefore I'll ask them to now prove that it's a government which has been formed. It is a government which has established its majority on the floor of the House. It's a government which is a functioning government. And these kind of, and we are now not at the inception where you have to ask for a trust vote. It's not, I'm not saying that there is an absence of power on the governor. There is, of course, there's a power in the governor even after a government is formed, because a variety of things may happen which will lead the governor to say, no, prove your trust on the floor of the House. But what is really the problem here is that governors, in exercising that power, may actually precipitate the fall of the government. And that is something which is very, very serious for our democracy.
May I answer, my lord? Okay, I'm running against time, but your lordships would accommodate me, my lord, obviously. Okay, I'm on the first point right now. Let's one.
And this is irrespective of their numbers. There's no doubt about it that they lost the numbers at that point of time. But
Lord, I'm answering as a proposition of law. Lord, kindly allow me to at least answer, my lord, this. I've understood, my lord, your lordship's concern on the constitutional proposition, which is canvassed, my lord, by a party which has otherwise lost the majority support, as the figure suggests.
And all this hyperbole that you will have 40 corpses and all, Maharashtra. It's not some. It's a very highly cultured, developed state. I mean, things are said in politics. Sometimes things are said which are inappropriate. They should never be said. As we said just the other day, Mr.
Please
Mehta,
my lord,
that we said to Dr. Singhvi in a matter where he was appearing that there has to be some level of constitutional discourse and dialogue, which is unfortunately going down in our country. So we are not condoning it. We are not at all condoning
please
it.
don't, this amounts to condone.
No,
That's
no,
why
no,
my
no,
concern
no.
is.
No, we are not condoning it. In fact, we have expressed the most serious concern about where it's like, in fact, in one of our orders, just Narsima and I say it's like a race to the bottom. But that is different. I mean, we're not condoning it at all. We are deeply concerned with it as a constitutional court. But equally, we have to also say that what about the governors? They must exercise these powers with the greatest circumspection and caution.
Would your lordships consider deferring this view till, my lord,
All right. We'll see the judgments, of course.
Yes. Lord, kindly allow me to answer at the outset. I'll show the judgments. Lord, whenever the governor's prime responsibility is that a stable government continues, number one. Kindly allow me to complete. Number two, the democratically elected leader should not only enjoy the confidence of the House when the government is formed, he should continue to enjoy the confidence of the House throughout the tenure. And that's going to be my another limb of submission when I examine, Lord, the governor's power in facts of the case is concerned. Otherwise, there would not be any accountability on the leader so far as his constituent electorate is concerned. He can say that now I am elected to hell with you. I'm not concerned. Allow me to.
Mr. Solicitor, the monsoon session was coming. This was all happening in the third week of June, the last week of June.
Can I complete?
The monsoon session of the State Legislative Assembly was going to take place when you will place supplementary demands. That's the surest test. If they have to seek the vote of the House on passing legislation, on supplementary demands, one aspect of a revenue measure, and if the government does not get a vote, they're out.
Well, I will show the judgments.
The judgments of the monsoon session, which was going to take place.
I'll have to, my lord, read some judgments also, my lord, and therefore I would earnestly request your lordships to defer this tentative conclusion.
This is not a conclusion at all. This is a concern which we are
another thing.
We may eventually accept your submission, and we will equally put your argument to Mr.
No, I understand. I'm fully conscious. I'm confident in
polity. What is happening is
my worry is difficult. My worry is different.
Ultimately, whoever fails, whoever succeeds is a separate issue. But
my worry is different. My worry is different, and I'll put it first. Thereafter, I'll answer that question at the outset and elaborate. But what was said was not just an inappropriate statement which the governor could have ignored. It was a threat that you will be brought dead and sent to postmortem. That the House is being Please don't condone it, my lord, even inadvertent.
He wrote to Mr. Limay, who was the additional chief secretary, provide security. He did his duty by providing that please provide, protect these people. Your duty bound.
Permit me, my lord, to. Anyway,
but bringing down government because of some member of the legislative assembly saying that we will
sorry, my lord, that's too simplistic a way to look at it. Lord, please look at it holistically. 34 MLAs goes that we have lost confidence. They might be disqualified, they may not be disqualified. Whatever is the consequence, forget it for the time being. Along with 2 plus 7 other MLAs, that this man is not enjoying majority support. Kindly, my lord, allow me to complete. My lord, before your lordship, my lord, expresses the concern. They are not saying that we don't like him or we don't like that A, B, C, D reasons, and therefore he has not, he has lost our confidence. Now, my lord, all these allegations, all these threats are being administered, and the governor is supposed to be not a mute spectator, because the threats are administered not as a law and order situation. The threats are administered and governor is informed that with a view to create an artificial majority, now not only threats are administered on public platforms, but really attacks are taking place. Lord, would I expect the governor to sit as a mute spectator and say that you wait till your monsoon session? This is your internal dispute. You sort it out internally. The minimum thing, my lord, the Supreme Court has said is that the governor is not only entitled, he is duty bound to hold to direct that if this is the situation, you hold a floor test. If that, my lord, according to their perception, might aggravate the situation for the chief minister, my lord, again, that consequence is not for the governor to keep in mind. If in a democratically elected body like like a legislative assembly, if I am elected as a leader, I should not only inspire confidence at the outset, I should continue to have that confidence throughout my tenure. Otherwise, it results into complete lack of accountability and answerability, which is a facet of democracy, and it would result in complete tyranny. That now I am elected, you can do nothing to me. Look, that is not what is conceived of the governor's function, because governor comes into picture only in rare situations like this, that for whatever reasons you have lost your confidence. If 34 people have come, maybe because of my floor test, 34 may become 40. I'm taking the extreme example. As your lordships have very rightly expressed the concern, that it might aggravate the situation, but that's how the democracy works. That's how, my lord, leadership works. And therefore, my lord, they say that you can inherit leadership. You cannot inherit leadership qualities. And that is where the leadership quality comes into play in a democracy.
The concern, Mr. Mehta, is that what happens is people start ditching your government. And, you ditch your government, and then for a variety of reasons, the governments and the governors are willing allies by saying, hold a trust vote. So you give sanctity to this act of...
I am not entering into the area whether they should have or they should not have. That's for them to answer.
This is a very sad spectacle, in our democracy, that, you allow...
Lord, I don't, as a governor, I can't answer that question. But otherwise, my lord, if your lordship...
This is irrespective of the morality of the Shiv Sena having joined with the INC and the...
That was also, my lord, the majority feels was a sad spectacle. My lord, ultimately, all these resolutions say that having gone before the electorate, and my lord, I would like to read, my lord, kindly allow me, my lord. My lord, I am, kindly allow me. In Quixote, your lordships very carefully say that when you go before the electorate, you are not going as an individual. You are going as a representative of a particular ideology. You are doing two things. A, I am representing a particular ideology, vote for me. He represents another ideology, don't vote for me. Now, the situation before your lordships and before the governor was that majority of me who went with a particular ideology, particular coalition, particular, my lord, joint, my lord, program, sit with him against whom we contested the election, and majority say that this is a spectacle we would not like to be a part of. I'm not concerned as a governor. I'm not concerned as a governor. So that's, my lord,
And but they broke bread for 3 years, no?
Exactly.
They
Lord,
broke
this is a
bread with the
political
Indian
debate,
National
my lord.
Congress and
Lord, you are
the NCP for 3 years.
Lord, you are-
What happened overnight after 3 years of a happy marriage?
my lord, please see, my lord, then I'll read, my lord, what is their reason, because it's not my function to answer that. That's a political debate
The
or
governor
a,
has to ask himself this
On
question.
lighter side, you can very well say, staying together for 3 years cannot be said to be a happy life by that itself.
The governor has to ask himself this question. What were you fellows doing for 3 years?
Lord,
This is not-
governor has,
you're not in 1 month after the election has taken place.
my lord, kindly, my
I
lord,
can
kindly come
understand.
to
1
page,
month after the election takes place,
Lord,
the
I
chief
have not,
minister suddenly breaks up with the bypasses the BJP and joins with the INC.
Lord,
And
you're-
governor can say, sorry,
must,
there's a
my lord-
serious discontent in the party.
Lord, I,
3 years you cohabit, and then suddenly one fine day, a group of 34 say that there is discontent.
kindly allow me to
They
place
all
what,
went and became ministers,
Lord, the difficulty is, my lord, out of, my lord,
enjoying the spoils of office, and then suddenly, one day you just.
Wake up to the fact that
I leave it to your lordship. Well, that's a political debate, but I have an answer. If your lordship allows me, I'll answer.
You can go to the law council.
Yeah, now tell us, shows the law now.
Huh?
I will.
You
But
take
before
us to
that,
the
let
law
me
first,
answer.
then
Let
thereafter
me answer.
apply the later.
Well, let,
Please do one thing. You can show the law, correct? Power of the governor, what can be weighed with the government, and thereafter you take it to take us to the later, that whether it fits in that law or not.
my lord, kindly, my lord, note here at this page
Yeah.
14 is the answer. I'll come to it later.
All.
Page 14, why these 3 years of cohabitation, my lord, and why thereafter, my lord, a divorce. I'll answer, my lord. They have answered to me. They have shown it to me. Me means the governor. The governor is given why we have been together, and now what are why it's now or never situation, my lord. That I'll kindly, my lord, allow me to place it at page 14, my lord.